So we'll get rolling. We might have some people filtering in as we go, but we'll get started. So a couple quick disclaimers. First and foremost, like I said at the beginning, just so we can keep the PowerPoint at the forefront, I would ask that everyone keep their mics off if you can during the meeting. I do have the chat open, but there will be time for questions at the end. So I'm going to try and get through the presentation. Hopefully, I answer all your questions during that, and then anything I miss or any clarifying questions, just try and save it till the end, unless something's super confusing and can't wait. Like I said, it's myself and Shihan here to go through everything. Welcome in. So this is the parent meeting for the spring black belt testing cycle. We're going to go through all of the details and what to expect on a black belt test for those who haven't been through it before. Brown belts, this will be a lot of new information. Degrees might see some similarities and some clarifying points, but hopefully it's not too crazy new. So this before the exam, there's a couple kind of preparation points, we'll say. So during the testing cycle, which we're outlining between March 1st and May 23rd, students are expected to attend an average of 2 regular classes per week. Now, when we say regular classes, that is 2 separate days of classes. So a regular class into like a black belt club or a leadership class will not fulfill this requirement. They need to be attending at least 2 of their regular, either black belts or advanced classes each week at minimum. Obviously, it's an average. So if there's a week that they're sick or you're away for like April break or something, you can make it up. But we will be checking this regularly and making sure that students are staying on top of their attendance during the testing cycle. By the end of the exam, by graduation day, brown belts are expected to have a minimum of 120 total attendances on their belts. And then each degree needs 100 attendances per degree they're going for. So black belt to first degree needs 100, first degree to second degree needs 200, etc. And then the bare minimum attendance to enter the exam, which will be by March 1st, is 84, 64, 164, and 264, respectively, for brown belts, first degree, second degree, third degree. So that's what you need to have to qualify for the exam. Some of you are already over that line. Some of you are under that line, and you need to make sure that you're attending regularly to make sure you make it by March 1st. You can check up on where you are and kind of do the math out at your home studio the next time you're in class. Obviously, we expect you guys to be punctual for all of the required classes that we're running for the exam. Bring all your belts and gear, and then make sure we're meeting all the deadlines and stuff that we'll go over later. Things that you need for the exam. One full white uniform will be required for both of the testing days at the end of the exam. So if you don't have a white uniform anymore, you've been in, black belt club or leadership for a while, and you have a colored uniform like red and black or something, we do need you to have a full white uniform for graduation. That way everyone matches, and it's nice and good for pictures, good for keeping everything uniform. Sparring gear needs to be complete in good repair, mouth guards, everything, no ripped gear. There is a pretty intensive sparring section during the test, and we need to make sure that everyone is properly protected. Obviously, bring a water bottle to every single event. You will be working hard, I hope. We want to make sure you're well hydrated. In going to the 84 classes on March 1st, you'll be awarded your 6th stripe on your brown belt if you are a brown belt before that point, or that should qualify you for 6 stripes. Your 7th and your 8th stripes will be awarded at certain checkpoints during the black belt exam, namely after the obstacle course or the 5K and the second candidate class you attend. And then memberships need to stay active and in good standing throughout the entire test through graduation date for all participants. This is the no fun slide. This is the removal from the exam slide. So obviously we have high expectations for our black belt testing candidates, and we expect that there might be some students that miss something here or there, and we can accept small little misses. But generally speaking, we have a 3-strike policy for any missed due dates, any missed candidate, anything that was missed during the exam. So tardiness on any due dates, if you miss one of those 2 time per week weekly attendance averages, anything of that nature. You'll be given 2 warnings, and then the third one will result in you being moved to this fall exam. There are 4 things that cannot be a strike. They will be an immediate dismissal from the exam. So there are minimum attendance cutoffs. The first one being that 84 by March 1st or 64 if you're a degree or higher. You can't miss that cutoff. You have to hit that minimum class number before the March 1st deadline. If you are unable to complete the 5K by your due date in the amount of time that we need it by, that is an automatic dismissal. And we'll go over that during the fitness section, what that expectation is. And then there are 3 major dates you cannot miss. Those dates are the obstacle course, the graduation date, and the testing date, and then the extravaganza. So 3 set days that are 100% required for everyone, no exceptions. And then those other 2 deadlines are non-negotiables for all of our candidates. All right, physical requirements. So everyone should know all of their techniques. For black belts, you should be prepared to demonstrate anything you've learned, white to brown belt. Degrees, you should be prepared for everything white to brown belt plus your black belts, curriculum as well. For anything that's age bracketed, I think this is mainly just sparring at this point. But anyone who is under 12 years old is considered a junior, and this will be during graduation. So on graduation day, if you're under 12, you'll be considered a junior. If you're 12 to 15, you're considered a youth, and 16 and up are considered adults. Degrees are not age adjusted and are just considered degrees no matter what age you are. So sparring requirements, as I mentioned, for brown belts are divided by age. So juniors, that's again under 12 years old, will be 15 minutes of sparring. Youth, which is 12 to 15, will be 17 minutes. And then adult, which is 16 plus, will be 20 minutes of sparring for the testing day. That's for brown belts. Degrees, you have a slightly different sparring requirement that doesn't require continuous sparring, but you're going to be helping the brown belt spar like other degrees did for you when you tested for your black belt. Running requirement, as I mentioned earlier, there is a 5K that is a digital 5K, must be submitted before the obstacle course date. So that is 3.2 miles, and the hard cutoff line is 37 minutes or less. No treadmills for recording. You can train on a treadmill, no problem, but you can't submit a picture of the treadmill and have that count. It has to be a GPS recorded run on a running app, or if you want to sign up for like a town 5K and submit your official race results, that is fine as well. And then the obstacle course cutoff time is less than an hour for that event when it comes around. But the 5K you'll be doing on your own and submitting it to us. The obstacle course is one of those events that we'll be hosting that everyone has to be in attendance for. What's happening? There we go. These are our physical requirements for the basics day. There are 5 categories of exercises that students should be focusing on. So you have push-ups, wall sits, planks, jumping jacks, and squat thrusts. The volumes are listed here. Brown belts, you're responsible for 100 push-ups, degrees 150, and you have 4 minutes and 6 minutes respectively to get those done. Wall sits and planks are both the same. Degrees will be responsible for 3 minutes held of each of those exercises. Brown belts will be doing 2 minutes. Jumping jacks, 200 for brown belts and 300 for degrees. And then squat thrusts, we have 35 squat thrusts for brown belts and 40 for degrees. All of these fitness requirements will be tested during the basics day. So while you're demonstrating your punches, your kicks, your kata, your self-defense, all that fun stuff, you'll be asked to do these exercises kind of interspersed during that day. And again, this will all be recorded and available. So if you didn't have the exact numbers written down or I'm going a little quick, this will be available for you. This is a brown belt only slide. So black belts for your kata, you are just required to demonstrate your degree kata. So for my first degrees, that'll be Basadai. Some of you guys will be doing Kankudai, Hangetsu, whatever it may be that you've been training. That's what you will demonstrate on testing day. Brown belts, you are responsible for creating your own kata as part of your test. It must be 36 moves with a move counted as a stance change or a direction change. And we'll send out a video with a little bit better guidance on this, a little bit more visual guidance on this sometime next week. We ask that you use a mixture of your strong skills, techniques you think are good in your training. Don't throw in a cartwheel if you can't do a cartwheel kind of thing. Make sure you're sticking to the kicks and the punches that you feel look the best. This year, no weapons. We've had students use them in the past, and usually it ends up taking away from the kata more than it helps. So we ask no weapons, just open hand kata for everybody. And as I said, there are examples of previous year katas in the Black Belt portal, which I'll get to at the end. And we will send out a little instructional video we recorded a little while ago to try and help guide you. Your instructors will be there to guide you through this process the whole way as well. So you will not be set off on your own and kind of left to the wolves, but definitely something to start training and prepping early. This year for our community service or our kind of community aspect of the test, we're going to be doing a centralized event. It's going to be a kickathon that students will fundraise money for. We will have 4 charities that are listed here that the students can elect to send their donations to. So it'll be the ASPCA St. Jude's, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and TMS for a Cure, which is the Mastocytosis Society. So you can pick whichever one you would like to raise money for. And then for those who don't know what a kickathon is, essentially students will go and try and get pledges for a value, a monetary value per kicks performed in a minute. We will have one big event where all the students will come. We'll throw on a timer and they will do as many kicks as they can in that minute. We'll have official counters there. And then however many kicks they throw, that's how much is donated from their pledges. I have a little example below. So if I were to pledge 10 cents per kick and the student that I'm pledging to support throws 100 kicks, I would donate $10 to the charity that student chose. We would have you submit proof of donation to the school, but you would donate through yourself for the tax stuff. And then we're going to hold the kickathon at the same day as the tournament, which right now we're tentatively putting on April 12th. We will give you a little bit better guidance on this with an official sheet to help you kind of organize your pledges and better understand how things are working. I know the slide's a little confusing, so we'll make sure there's better guidance on this, again, sent out next week along with those kata videos. All students are expected to do a reflection piece. This year, we're going to go full digital, so just video. There will be 3 questions that the students will answer, which will be posted on the website, and we'll have them just record their answers. It's a reflection on their journey, something to the tune of what have I learned along the way? What does getting my black belt mean to me? How have the people around me helped me, and how do I plan on helping others, or what do I plan on doing after I get my black belt? Just kind of a reflection on their journey thus far. It's been a long ride for many of us, and it's an exciting step for the brown belts moving on to black belt here. And we want the kids to take some time to reflect on that. And there are, again, examples of these up on the website. These are the last 2 days of the testing cycle. So again, I mentioned there are 3 mandatory days. We have our basics, or our obstacle course is one of the mandatory days, and these are the other 2 testing days. We have our basics day and our extravaganza. So the basics day is the meat and potatoes of the test. This is the basics portion where they're demonstrating all of the punches and the kicks, as well as that fitness that we discussed earlier. This is where katas will be presented. And during the kata presentation, 3 students will be selected that we think had the strongest katas from each group. So far, our degree group and our brown belt group. and those students will be given the opportunity to get a solo performance during the extravaganza and kind of showcase their kata. And then we'll also do sparring on this basics day. So basics testing, fitness testing, kata presentation, and sparring all on the same day. It is definitely a long day, but it is well worth it. And then our extravaganza is the graduation day. This is where the students actually receive their belts and their diplomas. They get bowed into their new belts, and we do the whole performance. For those, some of you may have attended Extrav before. So this includes a lot of stage performances, belt graduations, all that fun stuff. These are 2 separate days, but these are kind of the big end of the test things to look for after the 3-month cycle is up. Couple important dates, and again, these will all be posted and reminders will be sent out. Make sure you guys have updated emails in the system, because the primary way that Shihan and I communicate upcoming dates and things to pay attention to is via email. For my brown belts, you will have kata checkups every 2 weeks or so to make sure that you're on pace with creating your brown belt kata. As I mentioned, one of those first attendance cutoffs, those important hard lines in the sand, is March 1st. So that's a very important date to pay attention to, and make sure that your attendance is where it needs to be by that date. Fitness assessments, which is just kind of a midpoint checkup to see where our push-ups, our jumping jacks, our planks, wall sits are, will be the week of April 14th in your regular classes. So just make sure you are in attendance that week. There will be 4 days for candidate classes, which we will send out via email a little closer to the testing date, but they'll be Saturday mornings. We will do 1 at each location to make it a little easier on travel. But make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 Saturdays carved out once those dates come out to attend those meetings. Those are taught by Shihan and I, and good check-ins to make sure that we see the candidates prior to the testing dates. Our obstacle course date estimate right now is May 3rd. We will clarify and confirm this as soon as possible. But the tentative date again is going to be May 3rd. And then move something real quick here. Most of the rest of the due dates are going to be May 23rd, which kind of marks the end of the main testing cycle, and just leaves us with our graduation and basics day. Testing weekend right now is estimated as May 31st and June 1st, with May 31st being the basics day. The schools will be shut down, and the only thing EFK will be doing that day is black belt testing. And then the graduation show will be the evening of June 1st, usually from like 5 to 8, roughly, is what we end up doing. One last thing before I open it up to questions. Don't go in the chat yet. I know everyone's got questions. I'm going to put my direct email in the chat right now for everybody. So this is my direct line of communication. Shihan and I orchestrate most of the black belt test. Obviously, your head instructor is going to be working very closely with your student to ensure that they are on the right track, and they'll still be the primary person training them. But Shihan and I are very involved with our black belts, paying attention, getting in touch, and answering any questions you guys might have to make sure your testing process is smooth. Any questions you don't get answered here, or if it's a long question that you'd rather shoot me in an email, that is going to be the best form of communication to get in touch with me. And again, I'm happy to help in any way I can to make sure that the testing process is smooth. One more reminder, make sure that your emails are updated in our system, as we do send out weekly updates to all of our black belt candidates, usually on Tuesdays. These will include reminders of upcoming dates, quick notes on things that we've seen in class, things that students need to be focusing and working on, all that fun stuff. Each one is pretty important, and we want to make sure that you guys are getting them. So that concludes the kind of main presentation part. If anyone has any questions now, again, we're going to try and keep the mics off, but if you want to throw them into chat, I will try and answer them best I can. Question for the end of the presentation. If we're invited to this, does that mean the student's eligible for black belt testing in the spring, or do we need to check with our dojo? Great question. So if you got an invite to this parent meeting, that means you are potentially eligible based on time. to test in this cycle. So your student would be eligible for black belt testing as long as they meet the other minimum requirements. Just because you are invited to the meeting doesn't guarantee you being on the spring cycle, but it does mean that you have the possibility of being on the spring cycle. The first thing you'd want to check is that attendance total. Make sure that you are close to that cutoff for March 1st and make sure that your attendance can get there in time, and then also make sure that the rest of the requirements make sense for you and your family for this round. For the 5K submissions, when can the brown belts submit that? We ran the turkey trot this so anything that we ran, we want to keep the fitness stuff kind of isolated within the testing cycle. If you're actively running right now and you wanted to give me a 5K submission from, February, that would be fine. But stuff from this past fall or, this past summer is a little too far out of time range. It doesn't take very long to lose your cardio, and the purpose of the 5K time is to make sure that students are in the right level of cardio fitness for the remaining rigors of the exam. For the video, will they be recording, answering the questions, or can they write it out and read it to a picture slideshow?
I was actually going to chime in and say that exact thing. It can be as simple as sitting in front of the camera and doing a narrative answering the questions, or they can do a video and still photo slideshow and narrate behind it. Those are usually much more entertaining and fun to watch.
Question on the May 31st weekend, being out of town. We are about 98% sure that that's going to be our testing weekend. I'm just waiting for final confirmation back from the venue. Once we get the confirmation back, I'll send everyone that final testing nod. But yeah, if you're out of town or you're unable to make the testing day, those 2 basics days and graduation days are very important, and we would need everyone to be able to attend there. So I had a question about exercises with medical. So if there's a medical reason that one of those 5 exercises that I listed is not on the cards for anybody, let's address that independently. You can shoot me an email and we can discuss what the issue is. We have done alternatives for students in the past, but it does come on a case-by-case basis. So any medical or underlying issues that would be contradictory to the physical side of things, definitely email me separately and we'll discuss. What does the obstacle course consist of? And do the candidates just stay for the whole day, or they come for 1 hour? Where does it take place? So the obstacle course is going to be a mixture of running and exercises. The running will be a 3-mile run, hence the 5K requirement. But there'll be obstacles and exercises and things mixed in. Usually takes just the hour, and then the students are good for the day. That is not a full day affair. And usually, I think in the last couple times, we've just done it at the local Winchester track. Running apps. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention this. So running apps for the 5K submission. Yes, I do have some suggestions. We've had some people just use, like an Apple Watch. If you have access to that, that's perfectly fine. The apps that I always recommend is one of 3. There's Strava, Nike Run Club, and then Map My Run by Under Armour. All are free apps that can be downloaded to any smartphone. You can download it, hit go, and just have the student run with it in their pocket, in their hand, in a backpack, and it'll record the pace as well as the distance and the time for that student. So you can just go to a local track, throw it on your phone, have your student hold on to it while they're doing the run. That seems to be the most accessible way to take care of it. But if you have another app that you like using, or you're a runner yourself and you use a Garmin or whatever it may be, that's fine. We just need some form of recording for it. In the past, there were different cutoffs for the 5K depending on age. Yep. So the 37 minutes is a line across the sand for all ages. So it doesn't matter what age you are, 37 minutes or less is the 5K time. We narrowed that down a couple years ago to standardize it. Stripes are only for current brown belts, not for current black belts testing for first degree. Yeah, the 7th and the 8th stripes that I mentioned are just going to be for brown belts. Black belts, you still need those minimum attendance requirements that I mentioned, but you're not getting stripes on your black belt. You're just getting degrees. So don't worry about anything that had a stripe note next to it. When you say average of 2 classes per week, does that mean we can only make 1 class in a given week? They take 3 the next, it'll average it out. Yes, exactly, Katie. So if you have a week where you're having some trouble with attendance or you're not able to make it to those regular 2 classes, you can, add a couple classes the following week to make up for it. Or if you know you're going to be out of town for a week, just add a few classes earlier in the month to make it average out. If you miss 1 class, it doesn't disqualify you for the remainder of the exam. We just ask for that regular attendance. Can you specify the expectations for extravaganza in terms of time that day? So the extravaganza, the graduation performance, is usually in the afternoon. Candidates will have a rehearsal before the show. So usually we have candidates arriving between 4 and 4:30, somewhere in there, to do a quick hour of just getting used to the stage, getting used to the space, making sure that they're clear on the expectations. And then the show itself will usually run starting around 5:30 and run till between 7 and 7:30, usually about 2 hours. So that's on the long side budget for 4 to 8, but likely a little shorter than that. Um, can students submit their kata before the due date? Absolutely. They still have to perform their kata at the basics test, but if they get 36 moves done super fast, as long as it's in good shape, it just gives them more time to perfect it, clean it up, and make it look presentation ready. I usually recommend students try and stay ahead of pace on their katas rather than staying on pace. It's a little less stressful, and you don't have to worry about the instructors, being on you so much about not being where you need to be with your kata. So definitely would recommend that. If a student doesn't meet the 100 push-ups or another fitness element, will they be removed from getting their black belt at that time? So on the testing day, it depends. If the student is trying their absolute best, pushing 100%, and we can kind of tell that, and they miss by 1 or 2 push-ups, it doesn't disqualify them from the exam. But if they come in and they're only able to do 50 push-ups or so, then that wouldn't be such a good look. And yeah, and it comes down to the training that they're putting in and the effort that we see as well. So those goals are not hard lines like the 5K, but we do want students to work their hardest to get there. Do EIT or leadership count as a class for your regular 2 time per week attendance? No, it has to be 2 regular training classes, 2 different days of either black belt class or advanced class. For the total class count, the 84, 64, 164, any class you attend would count. So leadership, EIT, and BBC do count towards that, but not for that 2 time a week average. One more question. What time is the basics day on the 31st? So basics day is kind of an all day thing. Usually we start it around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and I would plan on being there until maybe 2 or 3 at the end of sparring. Brown belts will likely get a sparring time, so they'll be able to take a quick break for lunch. But that would be a kind of a block of time that I would plan on being around for. It's a fairly hefty day. Takes quite a few hours to get through all of that material. We have about 7 minutes remaining in my Zoom meeting here before it kicks me out. So any last minute questions coming in? Do I recommend any programs for the 5K or other fitness? Yeah, so we actually have some in-house programs that we've developed, just some very simple kind of, getting started with a 5K or an exercise routine that we'll distribute in the email. If you do want any further recommendations or any personalized recommendations, obviously you can email me, as well as some of the instructors are, and they're obviously well versed in their fitness. So you can definitely chat with them as well. We will send out an email with any interest. We've historically offered a running club for the 5K as kind of a prep portion for those who aren't comfortable training running on their own. I will send out an interest list for that and see if anyone is interested. Last winter it didn't get off the ground, but we've run running clubs the last 2 summers in a row. So we'll see what the winter cycle has to offer. Running club has historically out of the track in Winchester, but we'll see what's available given the winter weather. Can you clarify the 5K? They run during the obstacle course in addition to submitting it separately. Correct. So you have to run a 5K to qualify to run in the obstacle course. So that 37-minute 5K cutoff is to be eligible to run in the obstacle course. And then the obstacle course is a separate event, which will include a 3-mile run plus other stuff. When are the candidates required to attend the fundraiser? Yes, candidates would be required to come to the 412 fundraiser to do their kicks so that they can, gain their pledges for the kickathon. And again, we'll send out more details on that later. But yes, we would want the students would have to actually be present to be able to do the kicks that they're pledging for, although that'll be a shorter event. They won't have to be there for the full day. They would just have to come, do their pledge, record their kick totals, and kind of be there to support their friends, and then they can head out from there. They don't have to participate in the tournament, which will be following. Would it be possible to send the info on the slides via email? Yes, actually, on that note, there is a portion of the website under the members area that says, I believe it's under testing. So members area, testing, and then it is black belt testing. That is the black belt testing portal. It will have all the details in the slides. I can try and email out the slides as well, but all the information that I went through and more is available on our website under the black belt portal. That was so that is definitely something that you guys can take a peek at. And any clarifying questions. The information on there might not be updated for the spring cycle just yet. That'll happen on Saturday, I believe. So if you see something that's still labeled for the fall, I apologize. That'll be updated this weekend. Any additional training to prep for the obstacle course in addition to the 5K? Nothing specific to train for the obstacle course. Run the 5K, do your other exercises that we asked of you. Make sure you're there for regular training. As long as you're working hard and training for other aspects of your martial arts, the obstacle course shouldn't be a challenge, or shouldn't be, I shouldn't say that. It will be a challenge, but it shouldn't be anything that you have to specifically train for. Any minimum amount to fundraise or suggestion? Yeah, so the goal we set for fundraising is always around, shoot for between $250 and $350. We want the kids to, work hard and really get some experience from this. But that's not something if you aim for 300 and you only get 200, that's fine. No worries. There's not like a minimum you have to make to continue on the exam. You won't get, cut from the exam because you didn't raise a certain amount of money. Question, is there a tracker? Yes, so we will have a black belt tracker on our website. This is in a place in which the students can check their progress on their attendance, on their, what requirements they've fulfilled up to this point. They can kind of keep an eye on their progress in the exam. This is a free service, but it is an optional service. You will not be automatically added to the tracker. If you would like to be included, we ask that you email either the main info email box or me personally with just your student's name and the subject line opt in. Just giving us the heads up that you do want to be included in that tracker. You're okay with all of your students, testing details, nothing personal, obviously, but you're okay with class counts and all that fun stuff being thrown up on the website. It is password protected area of the website in that same area where the black belt portal is. Under members area and testing once again. We are under 2 minutes on my meeting timer, so last minute questions if you got any, and then we will wrap up for the evening. You're welcome, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming. Like I said, any questions I didn't get to or any longer questions that you need answered, feel free to email me directly. Make sure you have that email saved. I look forward to seeing you guys in classes over the next few months and working with everyone here. It's always exciting to start a new black belt testing cycle. And I hope you guys are stoked to go forward. So thank you guys for coming. We'll wrap up the meeting there. Have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you guys in class soon.